if we really both thought about it, we would probably be pretty scared with the number that we could put together of fellow colleagues and entrepreneurs that we know that have built a business that is not what they want and aren't looking forward to kicking their legs out of bed every morning to go into that. So just before we started, I was shooting a VSL video, me talking in front of camera. And one thing I said was, there's only one question that you as a business owner need to be answering right now. And what is the easiest, most predictable way for you to be able to get clients to come on board and to stay on board longer for you? We're answering that in two very different ways, which I love these conversations, and also why every time I come back to Bali, I'm always like, can I get you back down for us to be able to have these conversations together? Because this is, just so you know as well, when I was living here, James and I would have our Friday morning bro date of coffee, eggs, and great conversations. And it was always a case of like, there was a lot of gold that was there, and it's always nice to be able to share that stuff out. And so our previous conversations were amazing. And with today, what I love watching you be you as a man, I watch you be as a man, and do you know what I mean, going through your journey, and I love and respect and admire you doing that. We'll stick to business today. And then what you're doing with the model in which you're doing it your way. And it was funny, I woke up at like 3:30 this morning for some reason. You were up early as well, but I had no actual reason to wake up early. And I was actually reading a Dan Kennedy book, and he was talking about how he very consciously chose to be very protected with his time, and how he would do things and not do things, and how there was constraints, and how that would piss some people off, but that was a good thing because it works for you in other ways. And he calls it a wealth magnet. You're doing the exact same thing with this as well. So when it comes to the sequencing of what you're doing, let's first preface this for someone that has no idea what the hell we're talking about. The intention of the way that you've set your business up now, and then let's go into the sequencing, what the actual numbers look like, where you want to take it, and why it's going to get there.
The orientation towards the business starts in life, right? So the sequencing for me started when the decision and the commitment to only do client serving work on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And interestingly, as I've gone along, I've even constrained that to Tuesday and Thursday mornings. So it started with the constraint of, what do I want my life to look like? And therefore, what business do I need to design to serve it? Because what that enabled for me was like massive amount of creativity and like a rules and a forcing function of going, well, I'm going to have to be pretty damn deliberate and creative to make the money I want to make, to deliver the levels of service I wanted to deliver my clients, which is access to my brain, with such kind of tight constraints. So for me, it started, okay, what's the highest leverage that I can deliver in that time frame that I've restricted? So 12 months ago, when I was terminating my partnerships after a couple of years because of life changes, I was like, the fastest way for me to get back in is just go straight out. I'm having a mentorship offer where I mentor you one-on-one. Like, this isn't a course, this isn't a program, there's not lots of videos. You'll get access to my IP and my stuff and templates and things, but we'll only deploy them based on what you need at the time. So I went out at $1,200 a week, and I took 16 people. And the first sequence was like, what's the easiest thing to sell? And like straight up mentorship, coaching, consulting. One-on-one's an easy thing to understand. You get access to me, I ask you questions, we decide what to work on, and then we work on it, and this is how you access me. So that is Zoom, Slack, and it's pretty fluid within those constraints of working on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that put me back in the game, I can charge those rates, so I've got leverage from experience because I've been doing it for a decade. So I can charge high rates and I leverage experience, so I can make 40, 50, 60 grand a month just by really selling my time. But the game was always like, how do I add more value and add more leverage on top of that? Value for clients, but also leverage for me. So then the next sequence, the next layer is like, what do people need and what do people want past me and my stuff? Well, they need community. They need the hive mind, the value of other people's experiences, interaction. So I built a community around those people, 16 people as a community. It started ramping up, and then I said, we're going to have a group call every week. So rather than just the one-on-one pieces, I added a group call and a group component, which has the dual benefit of giving me time back, because as people are being served and have access to me on a group call, they do less one-on-one. So it starts to bring the leverage scales back into it. And they've got a community and interaction, all the wonderful things that we know we get if you've invested in coaching or consulting or mentorship. And so that was the next leverage layer. And then I've got a product, right? Because I'm hosting calls every week. We've got trainings. We've got access to great people. And then I go out there and I sold that I did the first 20 members who could have access to just the community layer at $250 a week. And that's now $500 a week. So I slowly marched the price up. So to me, like, if I pause there, the piece is like getting in the market, adding how can you go deep and intimate and maximize your effective hourly rate with the constraints that you have. I'm working with someone at the moment. She wants to have a baby soon. She's like, I don't want to work more than 3 days a week. Like Mondays and Fridays are off limits. So I'm like, great, this is constraints. And I'm working with someone at the moment who's stuck at a certain number, who's stuck at 40K a month. And I'm like, jiu-jitsu's the thing that lights you up right now. So we're going to prioritize that. And the forcing function of putting the business around it will force the creativity, will force the things that, and you to start to value your time in the business. So for me, the leverage is layers of adding these things as you go along and being deliberate about what's the easiest thing to sell into the market, where's the demand, how can you add leverage to that, how can you add value to the clients, how can you add leverage to that, how you can add value to the clients. And then once the flywheel's spinning, then it's about keeping within your boundaries. For me it was, I'm not going to take more than 16 one-on-one clients. I'm pretty smart, but I don't have the brain power and capacity to remember every single intimate detail about not just my clients, but my clients' clients, because that interface is where you add the most value. If you understand how your clients are thinking, if they're in the market and selling things, you're the most valuable to them. So to me, it was like the sequence of layers as you go out there, that as you add a layer of leverage, you're adding another product. And if you're adding another product, you can go to the market and sell it.
What I love about this is, number one, it starts with what is it that my life wants to look like first?
Yeah.
Which is great to say, but I think we also know can be a terribly tough question to answer, because I don't think we're nurtured or cultured into being able to really truthfully answer that question. And it was like, all right, if it were a blank slate, what does a perfect day look like for me?
Yeah.
Like, what time do I want to wake up? Do I want to go straight into work, or do I want to have time with my family? Do I want to take a dog for a walk, have a coffee with, my wife or partner? Like, what is it that I actually want to be able to do? Which I find super interesting, because I struggled with that question of I have all the freedom in the world, but now I need to give myself these enabling constraints for how I best want to be able to operate with it. So we start with, what actually is the life that I want to be able to lead. And therefore I'm building my business to give me that.
Yeah.
If we really both thought about it, we would probably be pretty scared with the number that we could put together of fellow colleagues and entrepreneurs that we know that have built a business that is not what they want and aren't looking forward to kicking their legs out of bed every morning to go into that scenario. That kind of sucks. And so I'm almost wanting to just shine more light onto that and be like, look at what's happening, look at how you're actually applying this, because it's best done by, it's do not argue what a good man should be one. And I think you're just being a remarkable example of that as well. But then also the case of, it's a stepping stone as well. You started with one step. Okay, this feels really good now. What's the next step? What's the next progression that I can make to this? And this, what you said, sequencing is really important, because I feel like too many people are trying to see the end of the road from the very beginning, and that's just not the case. Even recently, we just changed our partner cadence, and it was remarkable, because by actually taking things away, they got more value. And so I think a lot of people are thinking, oh, they need more one-on-one calls with me. They need more of this. I need to be doing more of that. And they're trying to stack all this extra value. But what they're probably doing is making it actually harder and more time consuming with more drag for their client, which is actually then stopping or hindering them from actually getting the results that they came to in the first place.
Yeah, fully. Like simplicity is achieved, real simplicity is achieved through complexity. So the evolution of something is usually not valuable to add things, it's usually more valuable to take them away. And more partnerships and relationships die because of indigestion rather than starvation, because you smother them or you give them too much and they're like, this is too much, and I both business and other types of relationships. But the nature of the evolution of things is like simplicity is only the things that person needs to do, and only the things that you need to do. So if you put constraints on it, then you're forced to say, okay, we're only going to do the things that need to do. So your job becomes, for a client, much more diagnosis, because I have lots of answers. I have lots of systems. I can solve lots of different problems, and I've solved most of those problems dozens or hundreds of times before. So your job becomes, you're more like a doctor diagnosing what the illnesses of the business or the the ills of the individual, and then just, okay, there's a system, now go and deploy it, because that's where the value is. The value is diagnosing and applying the right system, not talking about all the wonderful things you can do for them and forcing it on.
Yeah.
But even me, who have a network, a reputation and credibility, I still have to take those steps back into the market, because, as you say, most people go to, I just want passive income. Like, most people's intention of building the business is measuring how little they can work to get the most amount of money. I'm measuring how effective is my work to deliver the most value so I generate the most amount of money.
Very different.
They sound the same, but they're completely different in their intention.
Yeah, I wish everyone could just rewind that and just listen to that over and over again, because I think that's really, really important. Yeah. Is there an objective measurement in which you are trying to actually gauge that by, and which you're working towards?
The scoreboards the first scoreboard we've got is like setting up how much you work. So I categorize in 3 ways in terms of the output of the business. The time component is, I'm only going to work Tuesdays and Thursdays with client serving work. And just so no one misunderstands me, there are days while I'll sit in my office for 8 hours. I'm editing a book at the moment. It's taking dozens of hours. That's work, but it's not client-facing work. The second piece is the energy piece. I proved to myself that I didn't want to acquire the skills of hiring and managing and running a team, because I did it, and I was like, I don't value those things, so I'm out of that.
Yeah.
So I have a solo business model, where solo in the sense of I am the person responsible for delivering to clients. I have one assistant, so I'm not on my own, but I am directly, solo delivery model, and that's my energy model. Yep. That's the model I've chosen. And then the money model is, effective hourly rate and, daily revenue. And if you want to measure on a revenue per employee basis, I think they're useful metrics as you go along.
Which is funny, because that's one of the metrics I'm moving towards at the moment. And when we had this conversation last week, and it was, how does the target was it's 1.5 million revenue per team member.
Yeah.
How do we get towards that? Which I find interesting, because it was a hell of a lot simpler when I actually went through the thinking process. I was like, oh, this could totally be done. And then I was like, how is it 2 million a year per team member being able to come on board? And then now that it was funny, because now that I set that as the benchmark, I'm very diligent about, okay, where does growth want to go, and what are the actual options that we're going to choose for this as well. But I love it how you can almost triangulate, how am I going to base my decisions from now on with these different functions that can kind of force me to go the right way.
Yeah, fully. In terms of those, when you put the constraints on it, again, it forces the creativity of, okay, what does the next layer of leverage look like?
I think it's more fun as well.
I've gamified it. Like, how do
there was another, it was a couple of weeks ago or something like that, but in the message thread with Bolton that we've got, you're like, you went back through some SaaS and like you were cutting things out that you were like, doing, we've all got these bloody things that we're paying for that we don't look at the credit card statement, and how fun it is actually cutting those things out and then being able to look at like the profit margin, just like it's still increasing.
Oh, it's a fun game. One of the business cards expired, so I got all the failed payments and I let them come to see which ones I'd missed.
Good decision.
Even though I look at them, $800 a month.
Yeah.
And I'm like really disciplined about and diligent about just crappy software, and you accumulate those 197 subscriptions.
Yeah.
It's like $800 a month. Damn proud of myself.
That's really cool.
It's meaningless in terms of the relative to the profit
but it's fun.
But it's fun in terms of like, how lean can you make it?
Yeah.
But the layers of leverage are, and that sequence that I was talking about continue from there. So, when I put constraints on that, I put 16 people in one-on-one, and I rolled those people into a community. And then I chopped down the number of people that had direct and intimate access to me to 12. So I've got the Sovereign Circle, which has a maximum of 12 people in it. And then that constraint is there. It will never have more than 12. And people keep asking me, like, because it's full, people keep asking me, are you going to start another? No, the constraint is the point.
Yeah.
Because my energy and the tension is the thing that I'm giving to you. I know intimately what you're doing, what you want, where you're going, etc. And they're paying for that level of energy that I can deploy to that because I constrain it. So I was like, I could do 25 and I'm going to halve it. And in the syndicate, I've capped it at 100 and we've got just over 80 people in there now. And then in the course of delivering the trainings and the workshops that I hold with syndicate people, I'm creating more products. And that flywheel of products is, well, I sell access to those. And that's the next layer of leverage. Yeah. So I built a product called the 3K Code, which was sequentially taking someone through making an offer, creating it, selling it for $3,000, doing $3,000 a week to doing $3,000 a day. There's 3 pillars to that. I built it from our community because they were saying, okay, it's great, I've got access to all these things and we can put them together with access, but do you have something that gives me a path, a methodology, a formula to do it? And it's like, yes. So I did that and then turned that into a product and then turned it into a community. And now I've got a couple of people who are inside my syndicate community, coaching and serving people who are inside my 3K community.
So good.
So then as you build up these layers of leverage, you start to deploy different elements of capital. I've deployed intellectual capital by building the 3K code for my people. Then I'm turning that into capital like cash. And then I'm using human capital, which is relationships and people who know my methodologies, to go and help people who are also into those relationships, and the layers of leverage continue. So that's, for me, a fun game. How do I match all these pieces and create that win-win positive flywheel as we go along? Because now I've got these amazing communities, but I've got one that's highly intimate and I know every moving part. And then I've got somewhere, layers out there where I don't know everybody in the community. I don't intimately know their business, etc. But someone in my world does. So we've got that network effect in those pieces. And this is how you create layers of leverage.
How long has it been so far since the start of taking the 16 people on?
12 months. Amazing. Like 12 months this month.
And in the last 12 months, what do you admire most from what you've done? Like, what is the thing that kind of stands out? It was like, oh, I really loved when I did this.
Capping maximum numbers of each people in a community to prioritize the most important thing in a community, which is energy. The best decision, and the one, of course, that I held the most fear around, because I'm pretty good at selling stuff and I'm pretty good at marketing. So I could have 50 people in my inner circle and it ceases to be that. So having 12 and knowing I could sell it 4 times over feels amazing. Capping the community at 100 people and knowing I could sell that 4 times over the next 12 months feels amazing. And because it's intimate, it preserves energy, it preserves integrity. And I've seen that with churn numbers that I wish I'd achieved years ago, because no one bloody leaves. And, you know, to the point where I've actually now encouraging people to be in the right place. You know, there was someone, there are a couple of people who I was like, the inner circle, I'm like, you need a bit more time. You need a bit of discovery and thrashing around in something in a place that's more comfortable. So you need to be down there. And a few people in the syndicate who are, you need in the 3K code, it's a lower level of investment relative to your cash flow as you're getting up and running in these things. You need to be there. So out of integrity and out of, you know, making sure it's the right, putting people in the right place, you can be very deliberate about where you place clients for the best of, you know, for their benefit, but also it opens up a spot for someone who is the right fit.
If you've made it this far, seriously, thank you. I appreciate you being here. But real quick, if you are a coach or consultant who wants to be able to build a self-growing business without bloated team, a big ad budget, or working more than 3 hours a day, then make sure that you hit subscribe, because everything I share here is built for founders just like you, because it's likely that you are done chasing bigger and ready to build better. So let's get back to it.
So much so, because I think you and I are very much like in certain groups and stuff like that we go in, it's very much about who's not in the room, that who's in the room as well. And you being able to protect that is super goddamn important, because if you let a bad apple in there, well, then it's going to lower the level of everybody. And if there's lower level conversations or just bad juju and energy, it's just not a good thing for anyone there at all. Out of the process in the last 12 months, what's one thing that just didn't go the way that you thought it was going to?
This is like a negative positive. I have been doing a lot more deeper trainings in terms of who you need to be to run these kind of solo, small services and, you know, expert kind of businesses. And I did that because I wanted to do it, and I kind of thought that the market wouldn't want it, wouldn't accept it, that I had to sell stuff that was like how to get 100 leads by Wednesday and how to make $2,000 by, you know, 2 p.m. And I still do those things, but the thing that I think surprised me the most is how much people are understanding that the bottleneck in their business isn't the business or the strategy, it's largely them and the person they're being, because people buy who you are rather than people buy what you. And that's, I've resisted that because I've gone for the shiny objects and sold the lead gen and sold the sales and sold the make money stuff. And I kind of realizing, especially in the last month or so, that leaning into the piece of, you know, who you need to be to run these businesses is and I probably treated my audience a bit like idiots, because I was too much, because I was like, yeah, you need just more leads and those things, when really I know all along that it's really that if you examine who you want to be and put those constraints around it and have principles and values and character in these pieces, that those are the true, those are the true growth factors. So
do you feel like the market in general is actually much more open to receiving that message as well?
Parts of it, I think through natural experience that people have gone through, people have understood they've had access to the best information, and then they realized, okay, well, I've done the thing and I've got everything, so the only variable in this whole thing is me. So maybe I need to look at me. So I think there's a lot more maturity of people who have gone through different coaching containers, who have had different coaches, who have learnt from the best mentors and had the best systems and strategies employed, and they're still not getting the thing that they want or feel at ease with.
I had this discussion with the team not that long ago, and it was interesting as James, this new team member, is actually going to be joining really soon. And it was like, if somebody applies to join us and we can see like in their application and in the conversations that are had that they've been through the circuits.
Yeah.
Do you mean they've joined the masterminds, they've done the coaching programs, they've done all that kind of stuff, and they're still not there? Like, some people aren't going to like this, but I think this is truth. Winners win.
Yeah.
And if someone's gone through all that stuff, to me, that's a red flag, because it's not like, I know, like, some people are like, oh, I joined this person's program and I did this thing. And I was like that. And like, to be perfectly honest, they're all really good. Like, I know that they're really good. Now, it might not have been the best fit for you at that time.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But the common denominator out of all of this thing is you, at the end of the day, for some reason, were not able to execute on what you were given there. So winners win.
I mostly agree. I think I am coming across a lot of people who go through the programs and realize that they've got all the components, they haven't brought it together for them in their way, and they're looking for someone to integrate those things. And people know of me as someone who doesn't really have a dog in the fight about, Facebook is the best and those things. I'm like, it's about effectiveness. So a lot of people trust me to bring those people together. The red flag ones for me are the people who went through the program and blame the person who I often know and you often know that wasn't very good and they didn't get this and they didn't get that. They're my red flags because I've got something from every single thing I've invested in over the years and the hundreds of thousands of dollars, something from everything, even the really crappy ones. I took something away from it.
Do you remember the conversation we had ages ago? I think this is at Wanderlust Cafe ages ago. And I think it was when I still had the cartel. And I asked the question, if there was one qualifying question to have to ensure that someone was actually going to be a good fit coming through, like what would it be? Do you remember asking that question? But I remember the answer. Anyway, your answer, it was genius, was they are able to multiply energy.
Yeah.
So you are able to give them something and they're going to be able to multiply and do something with it rather than retract and take it away. And I was like, that is very clever, James. And so being able to like apply that, like I literally apply that still to today of being like, like is this person able to multiply energy coming through this process? Because when there is a partnership in our model, like there is ownership that has to be had on the other side.
Yeah.
With not just them, but also their team members as well. So their team members and their culture is a reflection of how they're showing up also. So there has been a couple of people where it's like it started off and we've had to turn around and go, hey, it's me, it's not you, it's not a good fit. Like, let's just part ways tidily and it's all good sort of thing. Just because we could see that this isn't going to work from that case in point.
Yeah, yeah. If people are looking to be saved when they enter any kind of relationship, then it's going to be inequitable from the beginning. Because
that victim mentality.
If someone's looking to be saved and just relax into something and just not contribute because they're exhausted or whatever, they might have their valid reasons to do it. If people enter any type of relationship with that kind of attitude and they want to be saved and dragged up the hill or pushed to the top of the mountain, then it's just going to prematurely exhaust the other side. And in a group, in a community environment, which predominantly most people are in because it's got the best balance of intimacy but also access, that's particularly more acute where the victims or the toxic people just want to be dragged along and they don't want to take responsibility for their own outcomes.
What do you think the ingredients or recipe that cultivates and creates a great community?
I think people work that out well before me, but I think one of the things that because it never instinctively felt right for me, one of the things I've done a good job on is having a big diverse range of revenue in a community, and also I've always had a diverse range of industries and practices and experts. I've never been like just coaches or just consultants or just practitioners. I've always had so the diversity of both the people and their experience provides a high level of experience and interest for people.
I'm sorry, all I can think about right now is that, is there a word that's like racism or sexism, but for people at revenue levels?
I'm not revenuist in the slightest, because I just believe that your current levels of income are only relative to the actions that you've taken relatively recently. Yeah. Revenue's a lag indicator. So I've met amazing people who are broke as shit because they just weren't taking the right actions to get money, right? But they weren't bad people and they don't lack character or anything like that. And I've met plenty of people with lots of money who plenty of those things. But they're just taking the right actions to get money. So diversity, I think, with people at different revenue levels, for people to model different behaviors relative to the things they want. Because you can have people making lots of money in your community, but they don't have the body, the mindset, the pieces that people making very little money are. And you've got those people who are making very little money who model the money mindset and the application and the strategies that those people do. So I think communities benefit from a high level of diversity because these people can model these people on different dimensions, and also everybody can get what they want if you have diversity. If everybody's the same and everybody's just the same, then there's no real benefit in a community because everyone's just copying and modeling each other, and
it's just regurgitating each other's stuff.
It's just
an echo chamber of poison.
Yeah. I also keep challenging people in communities to demonstrate what bad behavior looks like. Those people who jump on the calls and dominate and ask loads and loads of questions, and I use them as corrective functions to say, you're not paying me for this. You know, you're not paying me for how to set up a landing page and ClickFunnels and which buttons to press. Like, you can Google that. If you want to ask those questions, then maybe you shouldn't be here. You know, that's not a high value question, and it's not for here. Let's
Love that.
Do things and use things that we can only do here, and the other stuff can happen outside it. So I also keep people in communities who are sometimes challenging, as long as they don't spill that over into toxic and inhibit other people's progress.
Yeah, I think especially when it comes like.
But I got big dad energy, so that's easy for me. Of like, correct? No, stop doing that. Just don't ask that.
It's also why you're so good at it, though, as well. But I think it's really great you saying to consciously call that stuff out in the public arena of the community, so that they're able to learn each other. Oh, these are the right actions to take. These are not the right actions to take, and this is what we're about as well. I think that's super important. I love that.
It's challenging, but it's worth it.
Where do you want to take this? What's the vision when you think of what you want to create, however long down the path of timeline, the horizon you see?
So the scoreboard, the number on the scoreboard I'm aiming for is a $10 million solo business. So I'm approximately just crossed a third of the way there in terms of like run rate.
Yeah.
And someone told me recently that I'm massively undercooking it because with AI and with the leverage that's available, then we're going to see $50 and $100 million kind of solo businesses, which may be true. But my first, my big milestone on the scoreboard is me and Alex getting to 10 million a year, with what I call a consulting business, but deploying those different modalities in terms of coaching, mentorship, etc. I can see the path to 6 million, which is just more of what I'm doing now. Past that, it's slightly fuzzy to me. There's a couple of different paths that I can choose. Both of them are very valid on a strategic level, but when that fork in the road, it will open up as I go along, as I build those leverage layers and sequence these things, one by one. I think I'm really proud of where I am now because I have a diverse range of stuff. I've got, you can start working with me for $100 a week. So I've made it really accessible, and working with people at the beginning and working with people in the early stages, that's challenging. And I love that I've made it really accessible, but I also love that I can work with very, very high level businesses who have lots of toys to play with and lots of interesting problems to solve that maybe other people do.
Have you subscribed? If not, this is the best time for you to subscribe, whether you're on the YouTube or on the podcast. Why? Because it would be a bummer if you missed out on everything that's to come, or don't subscribe if you're not actually getting much value out of this, because there is a zillion other things that you could be doing. So I'd rather you go and do that. The ball's in your court.
So I'm having a lot of fun having that huge balance between working with people who are about to make their first dollar or trying to, and people who are already $50 million kind of in. So to me, the scoreboard is there. The constraints are set, Tuesdays and Thursdays. They're my client days. Apart from my friends at Digital Marketer this morning at 3 a.m. Thanks time zones. And then, racking up the scoreboard and just with me and Alex and, deploying those different bits of capital. So I'm, obviously I'm very, very comfortable on the financial front. and obviously it's going great. So for me, as I eliminate all, worries about scarcity and as I go along, or, running out of runway, it's just, how can I play the game, within those constraints and see where I end up.
I love that. And I love watching you on this journey going through it. It's a gift for me. So thank you.
Thanks, man.
It's super fun.
Thanks.
And then being able to see the decision-making process. And that's something you helped me to see as well. Like doing the $100 workshop thing has been super fascinating to me, because I can bounce from someone that's trying not to be revenuist, someone who's on the lower end, and then after that going into a conversation with, a $15 million a year coaching business. Yeah. But also we are understanding that the principles are actually the same.
Yes.
So it's understanding how to navigate and mold and adjust what it is that's needed for that specific person. But the conversations aren't really that different anyway.
No.
Which is what I find interesting, because I've kind of stuck in this lane of, okay, this is exactly who I help. And again, but it's not a case of, I can still actually help this person over here, and something that I said over here will actually still work for this person that's at a much bigger business, but is still something that they were missing or detracted from.
Yeah, yeah. And the more diverse range of clients you work with, the better you get at pattern matching. And that's really what experience is.
I think that if I had to throw something out there that gives us a competitive advantage, it's that.
Yeah.
Like that's when we have these conversations, and the WhatsApp thread that I hope never gets publicly shared. It's
Don't know what you're talking about.
But I think that's where a lot of the competitive advantage lays with what it is that we do. Like if I really had to call out and go, why is it that we can really, mop the floor with competitors? One of it is because we see so much data and we see so much of what's going on in the field and in the industry. We can really easily go, this is a pattern that I'm seeing right now. Like that thing's working and that thing's not really working anymore. And then being able to craft and kind of like maneuver steps forward.
Yeah, fully. And that comes with experience, where, experience compounds as well, because you've seen most of the scenarios and people present you with problems that they think are unsolvable and catastrophic that you've seen 15 times before. So pattern matching is where experience really, the rubber hits the road, because you are just much more efficient at diagnosing stuff and diagnosing. You're not saying, these things might work. You're saying, this is likely to work to solve this particular bottleneck you've got right now. So you're much better at diagnosing things.
If you go back to the person themselves and kind of like their personal development, is there a common theme or problem or even adjustment that you see that you're regurgitating and helping out at the moment when it comes to that side of things of helping your crew move forward?
A lot of people are exhausted. A lot of people who haven't got the results that they wanted to get are exhausted of throwing stuff at the wall. A lot of people are exhausted at the other end because they built those prisons that you refer to, that they've got this big team and this big infrastructure, and they've just built pressure and stress around them, and they still have to do all the things that they kind of hired other people and tried to delegate out to do. So a lot of people are exhausted, and these days I'm probably doing a lot more traditional consulting than I am coaching, because I'm taking the judgment call of like, they just want to know what the fuck to do next, pretty much. And so while I used to spend probably more time and like trying to integrate ideas and those things, now I'm like, we need to do this, and putting people in momentum with something that shows some change of what they want to see. If you're at the beginning, help people make money. Like get a customer, get a client, get something on the board. And at the other end of the bigger businesses, like take something off their plate, remove something, streamline something, take a step out of a process, cut something, kill something, fire somebody, as many cases of do something that provides the most immediate relief of the anxiety and the stress that a lot of people. So I find myself doing more consulting these days than coaching. And that's a little bit of a change from the past few years where people are, okay, I just want to learn these things. I want to integrate these ideas. And people are overwhelmed with options and also overwhelmed with decisions. So I find it more useful just to, with permission, telling them what to do.
So the side effect and the actual purpose of doing all the shit that we're talking about in the end of the day is to actually live the life that we want to. How's life feeling now, having gone through the last 12 months and now being like, wow, I've created something truly remarkable. What's the actual benefit? Because I want to ensure that the listener, the watcher, grasps that.
Yeah.
Because that's why we do it.
Yeah. The life's amazing. The biggest danger for me is like bleeding outside the constraints. Because the more leverage I build, the easier it gets. The more money I make, the more funds I have available to do things. And the more free time I have, the more deliberate I have to be with what I want to do, who I want to be, etc. So I find myself slowing down a lot to say, okay, well, I'm constantly checking in with myself what is important. And sometimes if I'm trusting that if I want to work for a full day, I'll just go and work. I'll just go and work on the book. I'll create something, etc. If I want to do nothing for days, I will do that too. So I'm very much trusting the intuition of, working and rest and not much in between, because I've created an environment where I need to be, because it's highly effective in what I do and I earn plenty of money in the application of it. I find myself needing to be more disciplined about, what I'm not doing and how I'm using the free time and the resources that I built up.
It's easy to screw up, and I say that because I've screwed that up so many times before, because you create this freedom and all these systems and teams and everything take the bandwidth and take off our plate the things, and then the question then becomes, well, what do I do with this spare time now? Yeah. And I know for me, I struggled with, especially before selling the last business, I struggled with this because for me, I didn't know what I wanted to do with the spare time.
Yeah.
So therefore I'd just be in the business more, doing things, actually causing more problems than me doing the work that I should have been done. Like I could have just completely walked away much sooner as well. Yeah. I like that because it does circle back to you've got to figure your own shit out, which is where we started as well.
Yeah, people love us talking about first world problems, right? I've got lots of time and lots of money.
Yeah, we're checking the boxes right now of how not to like someone, earns heaps of money, incredibly handsome, runs a great business. You know what I mean? Like we're checking the boxes of like this person is douchebag, but
yeah, it's being deliberate, living an active life and being deliberate about it. And I think when and in the past when I didn't have the money I wanted, I was convinced that as soon as I had the money that it would solve all the problems. I was, in the past when I was working all the hours that God gave me, I was convinced that if I cut down those hours, it would solve all my problems. And then when you get to the other side of something, you still need to be deliberate about how you choose to spend your time and energy. And you also need to calibrate I've needed to calibrate that work isn't bad. Because I said that I'm going to only work with clients on Tuesday, Thursday, sometimes in the office, and I'm like, why am I here? Oh, I'm here because I want to be.
Yeah.
I'm here because I want to make something, and I want to work, and I like it. Yeah. So therefore, sometimes my leisure time is work. And being deliberate about going, okay, well, what am I going to flow into now? And what am I going to do is just being deliberate about the things you create. Otherwise, everything just starts to bleed into everything else, and you get carried along by, good ideas or someone else's good ideas or some system that someone else has built.
Yeah, and like this should not be cut into a short at all. But like, how much better is it being rich than not? Let's be real about that right now, because there is the case. But
cut that one.
It's also the truth, though. It's when you've done the work on yourself and you're happy with the person that you have crafted and built yourself to be, and then having the money as a side effect because of that,
Yeah.
I think that has been the brilliant thing. And that's what I'm truly grateful for, being able to be in that position.
When I first started making money, lots of money, I wasn't the person who could handle it, steward it, care for it, distribute it, and I was very good at making it, but I wasn't very good at caring for it and subsequently caring for myself.
Yeah.
And so money amplifies things, and also free time amplifies things, because wherever you go, there you are. So it's great to have means and resources. It's amazing to be able to do pretty much whatever you want, but you still need to have you still need to be very deliberate about the character and the values that you're operating within. Otherwise, it's not difficult to be a rich arsehole.
Oh, it's very easy to be able to do it, but I very much hope that you and I are not that model. I know that we're not, but
maybe occasionally, but
we're still humans at the end of the day. Okay, last one then. What's most exciting for you now? If from the last conversation that we had to now today, until the next time that we have this conversation in a couple months' time, what's most exciting for you? What energizes you the most about what's coming up?
I've got something for everybody that I want to help. I've made it really easy to get started and coming into my world and working with me. I've made it really easy to get insight and access to me if people want it and need it, and they're prepared to pay for it. So the exciting thing for me is that, I've created something that can help a lot of people while helping me at the same time.
Yeah.
And then all it needs to grow is just my creative energy and great humans inside it who are using my ideas and my stuff and helping other great humans, get the results that they so achieve. So the thing is in motion, and there's great people powering it that aren't me, because we've got an amazing community full of amazing people. And it's cool that there's something built there that doesn't require just my energy and my ideas and those things, that the flywheel is spinning. If I got hit by a scooter tomorrow, or one of that parade outside ran me over, that these ideas and some of the things that I've developed that are unique would carry over, and people would take them forward and turn them into something. So I'm stoked that the genie is out of the bottle and it's rolling, and I'm getting plenty of rewards on that on lots of dimensions. But I'm stoked that people can use it and take it and develop it as well and build it into something that's bigger than me.
That's really cool. I really love that. Can you do me a favor? Can you shill and pitch your shit right now for? Well,
when's this coming out? I'm gonna have a book out soon.
When's the book going to be out?
A couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll fast track it. Let's do the book.
Okay. So if you go to thesovereignconsultant.com, there is going to be an 80-something page book, which is a playbook that takes people from 3K once to 3K a week to 3K a day. And it's been 10 years in the making of the simplest goddamn way to do it. And I've distilled it down to only the components. And it's not one of those, I found a laptop behind a dumpster kind of books. It's like, this is exactly what you do. These are the words you use. These are the steps you take. And I'm super proud of it because it's going to help even more people than I do now. So thesovereignconsultant.com.
I love that. I will make sure there is link and everything below. I didn't know it was coming out so soon. So
neither did I, but
let's pitch and push the shit. Okay, well, this is a kick up the ass to making sure this happens. So we'll time it so you will see this right now just after the book goes live, and we'll make sure that happens as well.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, dude. Love you.
All right, that's it for today. And if this did hit home for you today, and if you are building a business that's meant to give you more money and more freedom, then I want you to be able to do two things before you go. One, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because it'll be a bummer if you missed out on everything else to come. Number two, grab the link in the description and be able to book in your free demo so you can see the exact systems, the exact process, and you can be able to install it inside of your business. Because remember, this channel is for coaches and creators who want a daily income, simple systems, and to be able to take time off. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.